Well, hello everybody and happy Monday. It is digital host A.J. Wuest welcoming you back to Before the Four, the live stream where I talk about 48's top stories and then some before our 4 o'clock newscast. Wherever you're watching today, whether it is on Facebook, whether it's on YouTube or the 48 Now live stream, thanks as always for watching and spending just a little bit of your Monday afternoon here with me. We have a lot to get into today, so I think it is about that time to start things off. And of course, starting things off today with a national story out of Madison, Wisconsin. At least 3 are dead and 6 injured after a school shooting at a Christian school this morning. The incident happened around 11 a.m. today at Madison Abundant Life Christian School. Police found several victims down when they arrived. The Madison police chief said at least 3 people were dead, including the suspected shooter, and at least 6 others were injured. Those injuries range from minor to life-threatening, according to the chief. The suspected shooter, who police say apparently took their own life, is believed to be a juvenile student at the school. However, they don't know yet what the motive is behind the shooting. Members of the ATF are on the scene and assisting Madison police in the early stages of this investigation.
I mean, the tragedy of all what the other kids have seen, the kids saw this and heard this, I mean, right before Christmas, how tough is that to live?
Obviously, my daughter goes here, and my nieces and nephews, my sister. So she called me on the phone. She told me, please remain calm. So I was already trying to mentally prepare. But yeah, after a bit, I was kind of like, okay. And she's like, there is an active shooter at the school. She had like an inside source kind of tell her. And I just bolted out, drove down here. I called my husband, and he made his way over here. Obviously, I couldn't get in, but I went around the back to my mom's house and talked with her. And like I said, my sister is involved with the school, so I was able to get a little bit of an inside take on what was going on. But she did tell me that they were okay. But
your kids are okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know where they are right now?
I don't. We were supposed to meet somewhere, I think, but as of right now, I don't know.
Yeah.
Certainly a tragic situation there. But now in local news in Limestone County, a man wanted for a 1997 murder in Athens has now been arrested, authorities announced today. The Athens Police Department was assisting ICE in the Athens area on December 15th, yesterday, when information was received about Burnaby Roman. Roman, who you're seeing on screen, had been wanted for the Christmas Day 1997 murder of Jose Salinas Gomez. The incident happened on Wheeler Street. A Limestone County grand jury indictment warrant was issued for Roman's arrest in February of 1998. After learning the recent information about Roman's whereabouts, a search warrant was obtained for his residence on Bain Road in Athens. He was later taken into custody. Roman is currently in the Limestone County Jail, and Athens officials will give a press conference on this arrest tomorrow at 10 a.m. And 48's Noah Cowell will be bringing you all more details on this arrest coming up in our evening newscasts. And now, 8 people were arrested in a human trafficking sting in DeKalb County, the sheriff's office announced earlier today. All 8 arrested are facing the charge of traveling to meet a child for an unlawful sex act, which of course is a felony. The sheriff's office didn't share specifics on the investigation, but said each person charged was aware beforehand that they were meeting a child under 16 with the expectation of sexual contact. Some of those charged allegedly they were armed with knives and firearms. Now, 7 vehicles, over $2,000 in cash, 1 firearm, and multiple other weapons were seized during this investigation. Those arrested were Jose Gonzalez, Juan Castillo, Jonathan Golden, Juva Williams, Reed Simmons, Pascal Mateo Diego, Austin Battles, and Casey McCormick. And 48 Savannah Sapp is working to learn more on this arrest today. She'll have more for you all coming up in our evening newscasts. But now in Limestone County, where the correctional facility reported an inmate on staff assault earlier today. The Alabama Department of Corrections said the incident happened Saturday. Authorities said Yaquane Hawkins, who you're seeing on screen, refused to comply during a controlled inmate movement. Authorities added he was ordered to submit to a search, during which he turned toward an officer. The officer administered a chemical spray and tried to take Hawkins to the ground. The officer was struck in the upper arm with the inmate-made knife, authorities said. Once Hawkins was contained and the weapon was secured, the officer was brought to the healthcare unit and later to an area hospital for a minor injury. Hawkins wasn't hurt. Now, the 23-year-old is serving a life sentence for murder out of Tuscaloosa County. But now in a bit of state news, the bird flu has been spotted here in the Yellowhammer State. Cases of highly pathogenic avian flu were found in a commercial broiler farm in Coleman County and in a backyard flock in Pickens County. Samples from the flocks were tested and confirmed positive at the Alabama State Diagnostic Laboratory. State officials quarantined the affected premises, and all birds on the properties were depopulated to help prevent spread. This flu is considered low risk to humans, but it is highly contagious to other birds, including commercial and backyard flocks of chicken. You can find more information on this story on our website. Just go to WAFF.com. But now let's talk a bit about the weather heading into this week. It's been a bit rainy over the past few days here across the Tennessee Valley, but let's see if that trend is here to stay. From 48 First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis. How's it looking, Brad?
AJ, the story of the week is all about the rain, the periods of showers, and occasional thunderstorms. We could see a little bit of thunder tonight, but probably a little bit better chance for that as we get into early Wednesday morning. So 2 more systems coming through before we dry out a bit as we head into this up-and-coming weekend. But here are the temperatures out there just before 3:30. Low 60s, right about normal in some spots, but overall definitely warmer than we've seen lately. We've got cooler than normal weather coming back to get you into the Christmas mood, I guess. Here's 7 o'clock this evening. Spotty showers, some drizzle, but here comes the heavier rainfall between 9 and 10 o'clock crossing in from the state line from Mississippi. Southern Middle Tennessee, the same thing. But I could see some gusty winds with this, just kind of the way the model guidance is shaping up here with some of this. But nonetheless, very heavy rain overnight tonight through about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. Quickly getting out of here. Notice the wind direction still out of the south tomorrow, so we're probably going to have some spotty drizzle in the morning and just low cloudiness, poor visibility. Be aware of that. And then as we get later into the day, we're going to start to see more showers developing out west, probably just after sunset, and this is the beginning of another round of heavy rain, potentially our heaviest rain we've had in a while. So get ready for that, but no severe weather in the forecast. 60, 65 tomorrow, 66 Wednesday, and then back to reality, 52 for the high Thursday. And as we get into the weekend, it gets colder. We'll be talking more about that at 4, 5, and 6. Back to you, AJ.
Thank you, Brad. And now a story in case you missed it. Friday, 48 Savannah Sapp spoke with a Fort Payne mother who is continuing her fight for justice 16 months after her son was killed and later dropped into a body of water. Jamari Moore was just 25 years old when he was killed. Savannah Sapp has the story.
I think about my son every second, every moment of my day.
16 months after her son was found dead in a creek in Jackson County, Tamara Benton still mourns. Jamari Moore was just 25 years old when he was killed, and those responsible for his death are still unaccounted for.
I just need this to be over with. He deserves justice, and I'm gonna keep screaming it.
In August of 2023, Jackson County deputies say Moore's body was found wrapped in a plastic bag and dumped in Salty Creek near the Jackson and Marshall County lines. His death was ruled as a homicide due to blunt force trauma to the head, but no arrests have been made in the case.
You watch it on TV, you see it on movies, you see it in all different scenarios of life, but you never think that actually it will hit your home.
Moore's uncle says it has been hard for the family to heal.
You know, we ready to start healing. We can't heal when it's still open. That's like a wound. You don't put anything on it, it's never gonna heal. It's open, you know, so we have to begin to put Band-Aids on this situation.
Benton says this will be the family's second Christmas without Jamari. But Benton says she will continue fighting for justice for her son. She and the Jackson County Sheriff's Office are asking for anyone who knows what happened to Moore to call the Sheriff's Office.
I don't know if we'll ever be the same. I pray that God can mend us all, but I don't even like having all my children together because I'm missing one.
In Fort Payne, Savannah Sapp, 48 News, on your side.
In such a devastating situation. Thank you, Savannah. And now in the Shoals, where 48's Aria Ponds was Friday, following up on the Wilson Dam main lock being closed for repairs. Officials say the dam will remain closed until mid-2025. Aria Ponds with the details.
The Tennessee Valley Authority and U.S. Army Corps of Engineers decided together that the main lock at Wilson Dam needed to be closed for repairs for the foreseeable future back in September. And while one lock is in working order, it is slowing down some of the vessels that normally come through the shoals.
A decision needing to be made in order to ensure long-term reliability of the facility.
Chief of Technical Support for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Brian Mangrum, says lock operators first noticed something might be wrong when they heard popping noises and felt vibrations during gate operations. After sending divers in the water to inspect the gates, multiple cracks were found.
Continuing to operate the gates in the current condition could potentially result in complete failure of the gate or damage beyond repair.
The auxiliary lock is still working but can only let one barge through as opposed to the main lock's 9 barges, effectively slowing all vessels down.
There's been some significant delays with a queue of vessels on both sides of the lock waiting to get through as that increased lockage time has impacted our ability to pass traffic as quickly as the main chamber.
To put it into perspective, 4,000 vessels normally pass through the main lock a year, carrying around 11.4 million tons of goods. Officials say the shipping companies are working around the lock repairs, carefully picking when to ship certain goods in order to make sure everything gets to its final destination in time. Mangrum says the repairs on the locks will take quite some time, and they probably won't be finished until next year. Reporting in Florence, Aria Ponds, 48 on your side.
And now in Huntsville, traffic on Maston Lake Road and Memorial Parkway will be slower for the foreseeable future. For the next several months, drivers cannot make left-hand turns at the Parkway and Maston Lake Road intersection. Those lanes closed at 9 this morning to give crews space to begin construction on the main overpass that will go over the intersection. The hope is that the project will make it easier for people to navigate through the area once the overpass is built. And 48 Sarah Grace Kennedy recently spoke with Seth Burkett with the Alabama Department of Transportation. He said that crews will have to set girders over Maston Lake Road before they can open the left turn lanes again. Burkett says people should be prepared for some delays for the time being.
You know, with the construction going on, there are some delays for motorists, and this could increase some of the delays, particularly as people get used to it. We're hopeful that everyone will find their way around this in a short time, and figure out what alternate route works best for them.
And now, coming up after the break, we'll talk about some changes coming to Huntsville Hospital, the latest on the United Healthcare CEO killing, and a Christmas story you're just not going to want to miss. Stay tuned. I'll see you all in 1 minute. Well, hello and welcome back to Before the Four. Now, with just over a month until President-elect Donald Trump heads back to the White House, 48's Daquan Lee recently spoke with a local immigration attorney on the president-elect's immigration plan. Daquan Lee with more.
With a little more than a month until President-elect Donald Trump retakes office, his promise of mass deportation has been a lightning rod of controversy. The incoming president has hinted at using the military to accomplish it and implied local law enforcement would pitch in as well. It's something state leaders in Washington have recently backed.
What's going to happen is the local law enforcement is going to be involved. As of our state, Alabama, local law enforcement will be involved. We don't have sanctuary cities, so it's not as bad in our state. We don't protect criminals. We don't protect illegals. So you're going to see some deportation.
We reached out to the Madison County Sheriff's Office. They told us it's their policy to turn over suspected illegal immigrants to federal immigration agents if those people are charged with a crime. Immigration attorney Zaira Solano says Trump's plan will cost a lot of money and come with logistical problems that are not easy to solve.
My colleagues and I think it's not possible, but what we do believe is possible is what his administration previously did in the past, which is increase border security and also detain more detentions.
She says those detentions have terrified not only undocumented immigrants, but immigrants who are well on their way to U.S. citizenship. Trump has also indicated he would end birthright citizenship. That right is something clearly spelled out in the 14th Amendment. But Solano says anything can happen if a case goes to the Supreme Court.
And with a conservative court, and depending on what happens with the justices that are close to potentially retiring and being replaced by this administration, we could see an outrageous, as we said, decision that can affect naturalized U.S. citizens.
Reporting in Huntsville, Daquan Lee, 48 on your side.
Well, some big changes are coming to Huntsville Hospital. In an effort to reduce patient wait time and expand care to residents, a state board recently approved a $150 million project that will add a 5-story expansion to the hospital's Madison Street Tower. Huntsville Hospital President and COO Tracy Dorey told 48 News that the city's population growth keeps the hospital busy at all times. As more people move to Huntsville, the growth is having a direct effect on patient waiting times in the ER and ambulance response times. The goal of the expansion is to help relieve the strain at the hospital, and the newly approved project includes an ICU, 3 new floors of medical space, 120 new private patient rooms, and a new emergency department vehicle entrance.
Excited not only for myself as one of the hospital leaders, but I'm excited for our community. A place as progressive and as big and as forward thinking as Huntsville and our surrounding area needs a hospital that meets the needs of the community. And this is one project that kind of acts as a feather in our cap to meeting those needs.
Some exciting stuff indeed. And now in a bit of national news, suspected killer Luigi Mangione remains behind bars in Pennsylvania as authorities in New York City fight to extradite him to face charges in the high-profile murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. NBC's Stephanie Gosk has been following this one.
Accused killer Luigi Mangione remains in a Pennsylvania prison cell, but New York officials say they are eager to extradite him. A source tells NBC News as soon as this week, a grand jury in New York could indict the man suspected of murdering United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. A potential indictment could bolster the Manhattan DA's extradition case. The 26-year-old just hired a new legal team led by high-profile New York attorney Karen Friedman Agnifilo. She spoke about the case and Mangione's possible defense on CNN last week before being hired as his lawyer.
There might be a not guilty by reason of insanity defense that they're going to be thinking about because the evidence is going to be so overwhelming that he did what he did.
While authorities are revealing more about what led up to his arrest. After the suspect was first reported missing by his mother last month, law enforcement officials say a San Francisco police officer recognized similarities in the images of Mangione in New York and the individual in the missing persons report and contacted the FBI. Two law enforcement sources familiar with the matter telling NBC News that authorities reached out to Mangioni's mother 2 days later, who told them the man in the images could be her son. Just 1 day later, Mangioni was taken into custody at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania. According to the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections, Mangioni, who is not being held in solitary confinement, has eaten every meal in his 15 by 6 foot concrete cell. He does not have a TV and is not yet interacting with other inmates.
He may only be there for a matter of weeks. For his short stay there, he's going to be treated like any other inmate.
And staying in national news, NBC's Garrett Hake reports the latest on the Trump transition, including RFK Jr. heading to Capitol Hill this week, ahead of confirmation hearings as the president-elect brings Pete Hegseth to the Army-Navy football game.
President-elect Donald Trump publicly standing by his embattled pick for Secretary of Defense, appearing with Pete Hegseth and a host of other top Republicans at the annual Army-Navy game this weekend in Maryland. Hegseth has faced a barrage of critical media reports after Mr. Trump first announced his selection last month, including a sexual assault claim for which he was investigated but never charged, and reports of excessive drinking, all of which he denies. Republican senators now largely rallying to his defense. Senator Lindsey Graham saying on Meet the Press that Hegseth would release the sexual assault accuser from a non-disclosure agreement.
He told me he would release her from that agreement. Yeah, I mean, just think about what we're talking about. I'd want to know if anybody nominated for a high-level job in Washington legitimately assaulted somebody.
Today, another top Trump pick will make his first appearance on Capitol Hill. Health and Human Services Secretary selection Robert F. Kennedy Jr. slated to meet with several Republican senators. Kennedy, long a skeptic of vaccines and vaccine mandates, under new scrutiny over a New York Times report that Kennedy attorney Aaron Seery, who has been helping him fill other federal health roles, took part in a 2022 effort to petition the federal government to revoke approval of the polio vaccine. Seery, in a lengthy response online, calling the article, quote, a hit piece. Republican Senate leader Mitch McConnell, a childhood polio survivor, firing off a critical statement Friday, writing in part, quote, efforts to undermine public confidence in proven cures are not just uninformed, they're dangerous.
And RFK Jr. said, let's go through and have more science and study more to make sure that the safety and efficacy is there. And that's what President Trump is saying.
It all comes as the president-elect notched a major legal victory, with ABC agreeing to pay $15 million to a future Trump presidential foundation and museum, with the network and anchor George Stephanopoulos saying they, quote, regret statements regarding Mr. Trump during a March interview, which he called defamatory.
Well, thank you. And now check this out. A nonprofit in Arizona is making sure all families have a Merry Christmas by making playtime more inclusive for children with disabilities. Local News Live's Alexandra Rangel introduces us to a group that's adapting toys to fit their needs. Take a look.
With the tap of a button,
Good job.
6-year-old AJ is able to use this football thrower and join the fun.
So these are Switch adaptive toys, and they're toys that are adapted so kids that have complex bodies are able to participate and play.
Inspire High Project takes traditional toys operated by batteries and rewires them, adding a switch that can be activated by a hand, a finger, or
Maybe an elbow. You know, you switch it, hit it, put it behind the wheelchair, and then the elbow might be the best access point. So it all just depends on the strengths of the child.
The nonprofit's board member, Rebecca Gettings, says it's important to get toys to all Arizona kids.
Play is how you learn, and so if you don't have access to play, then you don't have that access to be able to learn.
Access is key. AJ's mom says resources for kids like hers aren't typically found in larger cities.
We have a vehicle to be able to transport and go, and we have appointments and things, but there are families that don't.
She's thankful the nonprofit is making these toys in rural Arizona, donating more than 80 adapted toys this Christmas.
To make sure that there's absolutely no child here in Yuma County, in our rural area, that doesn't have a toy to be able to play with.
In Yuma, Alexandra Rangel, Arizona's Family.
Awesome story there. And now let's head into the stories you're just not going to want to miss coming up in our evening newscast. State champion Mars Hill, the Panthers, those football players signing to the next level. Find out where they'll play next season coming up. Another story you're just not going to want to miss, the latest on the Decatur City Council meeting. Find out what they discussed earlier today in our evening newscast. And finally, Governor Ivey giving more money and support to domestic violence victims. Get those details, and these are just a few of the stories you're just not going to want to miss in our evening newscast. And now it is about that time. It is, of course, time for Facebook fun and our 48 Facebook question of the day. What do you eat for Christmas dinner? What don't I eat for Christmas dinner? That is my response to that question. But what I want to know is what you all eat. Let's see. Jackie Miller said Chinese food, of course. That is awesome. It's like the Christmas Story, that ending scene on A Christmas Story. You got to get some Chinese food. Awesome pick there, Jackie. Amazing. Donna said, we usually do Christmas breakfast. My family as well. My mom will typically make a casserole of some sort, either an egg casserole or my favorite, the French toast casserole. It is, it's so good. I can't wait for this Christmas. That's all I know. But Donna, thank you so much for commenting. Rodney Terry said ham, and more ham. Rodney, what a ham. That is incredible. There's nothing better than a nice ham on Christmas, for sure. Thank you so much for commenting. Joe Landa said ribeye, loaded potato, and salad. Cannot go wrong with that. That just sounds absolutely delicious. Mouth-watering. I love me a good ribeye. Jolanda, thank you. And then Sharna said our adult kids and grands voted for a taco bar a few years ago, so that's what we do. Man, after I eat my family's Christmas, Sharna, I think I'm going to have to go to your family's Christmas and get me some of that taco bar. That just sounds delightful. Amazing. Thank you all for commenting on today's 48 Facebook question of the day. That is about it for today's Before the Four, but as always, I have to thank you all for watching and enjoy tonight's newscast. Thank you for watching. You all have a great night.